funky little guys from Shadowmoor.
And you can only even imagine the power.
Welcome to MTG Unwrapped, where we each choose a magic card and over-explain it to distract you from your current hyperfixation. I'm Rafa.
And I'm Ryan. Today we are talking about hybrid mana cards. So anything that you can pay this or that to cast it. One that's our favorite or that we think is really cool to cast. I guess we'll figure out exactly why we picked it. Let's go ahead and start with yours.
All right, we got one red or green, creature, Noggle Rogue, and it's an uncommon from Lorwyn Eclipsed.
A Noggle. Oh, it's new.
Yeah, it came out this year.
I should know this. So this is a creature, so what's the power and toughness?
Oh yeah, it's a 3/3.
Nargle. The only thing... Nargle. Noggle Robber. Isn't that a freaking card?
You got it.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, hey! I did it!
So the text box says, when this creature enters or dies, create a treasure token.
Exciting!
It is exciting. There's one art, and it's by Steve Ellis. Noggles have oversized donkey heads and hooved feet. They're kind of freaky looking, really. They're like goats on the bottom, donkeys on top. And their heads are too big for their body. It's weird. And this one happens to be a Noggle stealing some loot and looking pretty sus.
Makes sense. Treasure making, etc.
There's flavor text for this card, and it says, Noggles have no concept of money, but they do have a high affinity for shiny.
Oh my god, and Noggle is just a... Oh, crap, what are they called? Niffler.
Yeah, Niffler.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So what formats can use this card? It's legal in Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, and Oathbreaker. You can play this everywhere but Pauper. You could use this as a Commander in Pauper EDH, but I don't know how good it would be with only having access to commons in green and red. It probably wouldn't be that great. If you had to guess the price of this card, how much do you think this card costs?
50 cents.
Not even 10 cents. It's worthless. You could get it for nothing. Don't buy this card. I'm just kidding. Buy the card. Do you know why I picked this card?
No.
No, not at all? Oh.
Because it's got a funny name.
No, I didn't pick it for the name, although it does have a really funny name.
Noggle.
Noggle Robber. I picked this card because I run it in Slimefoot and Squee. And in case you don't know, Slimefoot and Squee is black, red, green, 3/3. Whenever it enters or attacks, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. And it has an ability on it for 1 black, red, green, sacrifice a Saproling, return this card and up to one other target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. It can do loops, but you have to go through many hoops to do those loops. Dr.
Hoops
Seuss.
for loops?
Yes.
Fruit Loops?
There are Fruit Loops? So Slimefoot and Squee goes infinite with mana generators and sack outlets. Because if you can make enough mana and sack creatures, then you can loop the bringing them back to the battlefield. There's no 2-card combos in the deck, and I don't even know if you could really make it a 3-card combo without the commander. So with this card and like Pitiless Plunderer and any sack outlet, it is infinite mana. So that's why it's in the deck. It makes sense.
Slimefoot and Squee is not a bad deck. Let me just clarify that.
It is.
It's just not as efficient as Blue Farm. We're not playing CEDH.
Yeah, it's lower bracket 4. I think it should be noted that I couldn't find any of these combos on any MTG combo search engines. Yeah, it's weird. Like, it's not on EDH Rec. It's not on other combo websites. You missed it, people.
Maybe because there's better options.
Hey, I'm getting there. Quit foreshadowing. There are multiple 2 and 3 mana creatures in green or red that make 1 treasure from entering. And there are multiple there's at least 1 creature in red and 1 in black that make a treasure when dying for 1 mana. So it took those 2 ideas and put them into 1 3-mana creature. It enables funky combos that regularly don't see playing Commander. And then after looking all this up, I then learned that Patron of the Arts existed. And it is 2 and a red and does the exact same thing as Noggle Robber. Except it's only a 3/1. So if you like big booties, play Noggle Robber. Yeah, you heard it here first. If you're boring, play Patron of the Arts. And if you have class, play Noggle Robber.
Well, okay. Something about a Noggle having a big booty, just like there's got to be a really good joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, you see that booty and you go, hoof, because it's got hooves.
I said a good joke, but yeah.
The only other thing I could think of that Noggle Robber might have going for it is that it has more devotion than Patron of the Arts, but I don't know what deck that would be. I don't think it exists, but if it does, I missed it. I tried to look for a minute and was just like, I give up. I don't think there's anywhere else this goes. It's in less than 1,000 decks total. It's only in 25 Slimefoot and Squee decks out there. I want to see the other lists. How bad are the cards in your list too, like mine? There are only 5 Noggles ever printed so far.
Aw, we need more love for the Noggles.
Yeah. I got just a little bit of lore left for you. The Noggles believe themselves to be the oldest race native to Shadowmoor, and that the other tribes stole the plane from them. This has made many Noggles bitter and given them a kleptomaniac streak, as they believe that everything in the world belongs to them and that they have the right to steal anything they find by any means. Noggles as a people have no crafts or industries, stealing everything they need from others. Many Noggles also have a cruel sense of humor and enjoy playing harmful tricks on others. Which is from the MTG wiki.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, Noggles seem kind of cool.
They seem like little shits.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I mean, cool by story. They seem cool by story.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of this card?
The card itself is kind of whatever. You play it, and I get why you play it. It does make sense that you can break it. That's all good and dandy. I love the little guys. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Noggle.
All right, what do you have for your card?
Okay. Mine is 4 generic, blue or black, legendary creature, demon kraken. It's a rare from Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths, and it's a 6/6.
I never would have guessed that it was a demon kraken. That totally makes sense. I know this card.
No, I play this card, and I read that, and I went, oh.
Go ahead and read the text box, because if I tried to guess, again, I would just butcher it, so.
Okay, first bit of text is it has companion.
Oh, yeah.
Your starting deck contains only cards with even mana values. The second line of text is, when this creature enters, each player mills 4 cards. Put a creature card with an even mana cost from among the milled cards onto the battlefield under your control.
It's pretty cool.
My card is Gyruda, Doom of Depths.
Yep, I would have totally been able to guess the title of it too, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely hate that word, so when I butcher it 500 times, depths.
Oh.
Give me a break. Into the rules. I am skipping over all of the rules that are specific to companion because I talked about that in our episode where I talked about Lutri. So if you want to hear about how a companion works, then you can go ahead and go check out that video.
And if you like otters, go check it out too.
If you don't like otters, go away. No, I'm just kidding. Don't leave. Rule number 1, a card with mana value 0 has an even mana value.
0 is even according to Magic rules. It bothers me every time I think about it.
Every time. He complains about it every time.
It's not even.
I play Void Winnower in my Kinnan list and still haven't taken it out even though it's not as relevant anymore. But I also have played in other decks and he complains about it every time. 0's not even, but whatever. Rule number 2. If a replacement effect causes a player to exile the top 4 cards of their library instead of putting them into their graveyard as Gyruda's triggered ability resolves, the creature card you choose may be one of those exiled cards. So if there's some effect on the battlefield that says whenever a card goes into the graveyard, it's exiled instead, you still get your creature from Gyruda. You're still milling the cards. It doesn't say return one of those milled cards from your graveyard. It just says return one from among those milled cards. So no matter where those cards end up, they are still milled and still fit the requirements that Gyruda specifies.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad they put that in the rules because that's definitely something that I would be like, I don't know how this works.
Yeah, it's not something I've ever come across. But I would not have assumed that's how it was played.
Yeah.
I would have been like, well, this is dumb.
Guess I don't get anything.
Yeah. It has 1 reprint in Multiverse Legends with 3 different arts. The base one is Giant Sea Kraken in like a turbulent sea, and that's by Tyler Jacobson.
Release the Kraken!
There is an Ikoria alternate full art that goes by a different name, Gigan Cyberclaw Terror.
I'm assuming that's from Godzilla then?
It sure is. It's an alien cyborg kaiju who first appeared in the 1972 Toho Godzilla film Godzilla vs. Gigan. Don't know.
What do you think of the card? How's it look like that?
It's not my cup of tea. It's a giant, like, mechanized dinosaur. I'm sure that if you are a Godzilla fan, you think it's really cool. That's awesome. And then the third one is the Multiverse Legends full art. It's more of like a cartoon, almost like anime style. But this one has more like color to it. It's more vibrant. I think it's really pretty. If any of you were distracted by this, I'm sorry, because when you were talking about your art, I went, And this one is by Steve Ellis.
Oh.
So the same artist as your card.
That's cool.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
What a coincidence. They must be like hybrid card. Call Steve.
What formats can use this card? It is legal in everything except for Pauper and Standard. What do you think the price of Gyruda is at?
I don't know. It's a pretty cool card, so I'm going to guess $5.
Nah.
Not even?
Not even. So most versions are under $1. The foil Multiverse Legends is just the regular one is about $13, so quite a bit more.
Yeah.
And then, as seems to be the case with all of the cards I choose lately, I don't know why it's been like a sub-theme. It has a serialized version for the Multiverse Legends. There were 2 copies available on eBay that I found. One was a PSA graded 9, number 134, for $500, and the other one was not graded, was number 232, also $500. So I guess you just get to decide if you want a graded one or not. So my personal experience with the card is that I have it in my Atris Oracle of Half-Truths Bracket 4 deck. So my deck does a lot of Blink and Graveyard synergies, and then I also have quite a few clones in there. So Gyruda is really easy to have as a repeatable effect. There's been quite a few games where it's just gone off and like I just keep doing it until I can win. So Gyruda can combo in a lot of different ways. There was one that I found that I haven't experienced before that I thought was kind of interesting. So you have Gyruda on the battlefield, and then you have a card Mortuary, which is a 1 black enchantment. Whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from play, put that creature on top of your library, and you have to have that on the battlefield. And then you need an even cost creature clone that does not ignore the legendary rule. So not Sakashima. So something like Phyrexian Metamorph or Clever Impersonator. So then you cast your clone, targeting Gyruda. The legendary rule makes you sacrifice that clone. When it goes to the graveyard, you put it back on top of your library. Then your Gyruda trigger goes off. You look at the top 4, you put the clone back into your hand. Do it again.
Well, you wouldn't put it back into your hand. It'd just go right onto the battlefield.
Or right onto the battlefield. Yeah. And copy Gyruda again. Loop that. It gives you infinite mill, infinite ETB, LTB, sacrifice triggers, whole bunch of stuff.
All the things. You've
All
won.
things.
You have won.
Yeah. So looking up the card on EDH Rec, as a commander is number 718.
One day, maybe, Gyruda, you'll make it up there with the big boys.
No. There are only 3,422 Gyruda decks out there in the wild. As a companion, there were only 240 decks.
Weird. I feel like the companion requirement isn't that strict, so I feel like it'd be easier to build than some other companions. I'm surprised there's so few.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I didn't expect there to be like a crazy amount. So I didn't expect like, a ton of them, but I don't know. I expected a little bit more than that. It's a really cool card. And the number 1 deck that it's in as a companion, and this is the one that I was talking about earlier, is Be'lakor the Dark Master. It's in 25% of those 240 decks are Be'lakor decks, which is a 3 blue, black, red, 6/5 Demon Noble. Flying, when it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of demons you control. Whenever another demon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. And then as far as being a card in the 99, it's in 1.36% of decks that it's eligible for, so 30.3k out of 2.23 million. And the number 1 deck that it's in is Runo Stormkirk. It's in 77% of those decks, which is a 1 blue-black, 1/4 vampire cleric. Flying, when it enters, put one target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if it's a creature card with mana value 6 or greater. Transform Runo, and the back of it is a 3/5 Kraken. Horror. Flying, when it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. If that creature is a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, create 2 of those tokens instead.
That's cool.
So, it's really good in those decks. It cares about graveyard. It cares about Krakens.
It transforms the commander. It checks every box.
Yeah. As far as lore goes, Gyruda is a legendary demon kraken from the plane of Ikoria that churns up the sea with death and insanity.
You really do have an affinity for all the, like, weird freaks of nature.
I do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What were...
Gyruda is known to feast on trade ships. The planeswalker Vivian Reed tried to charter a boat to investigate it because she was like, ooh, what's that? Let me go see. But she couldn't find any willing captains. Crazy.
Yeah.
And Vivian thought that Gyruda is a fated companion of a bonder. This brings us on a side quest, because I went, the heck is a bonder? So, bonders are humans that establish an eluda, a deeply mystical bond with a monster. The eluda ties the spirit of the bonder to the monster, helping them evolve and become stronger. Bonders are hated by the civilized humans, and are considered traitors to humanity, often exiled from their communities once they are found out if they do not choose to deny their bond.
We're Stormlight fans. You don't deny your bond here.
No, I wouldn't deny a bond to a really cool mystical monster either.
I don't know. If that monster freaked me out, I might.
If I'm bonded to it, then I don't think it would freak me out. There are 11 referenced bonders, couple notable ones. Kinnan, Bonder, Prodigy. As his name suggests, he is a bonder, and he's considered a prodigy because most bonders can only bond one creature, but Kinnan can bond many.
He's a polybonder.
Yep. And we're allies. Another one that is one of my commanders. Halden is a bonder with Paco.
Oh, dang. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Can I pet that dog?
Can I pet that dog? Another one that most people will know is Winota, who is the bonder of a giant raccoon. If you look at her art, never freaking noticed it before. There's a giant freaking raccoon behind her.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't noticed that. You love trash pandas.
I know. It's really cute. And then a card that I play in decks as well is a land, Bonder's Enclave.
Oh, really? That's where that name comes from?
That's where that name comes from. Bonder's Enclave references a sanctuary that can only be found by humans who possess the eluda.
Which must be why it cares about power. I'm learning so much today.
I know. That's that side quest. Don't skip them. If you want to learn more, go and look them up. There's some other really, really cool ones. Their stories are pretty neat, but I'm not going to talk your ear off for another 30 minutes about bonders. Maybe that'll be a different episode. And then one fun fact is that Gyruda fought in defense of Ikoria during New Phyrexia's invasion, so Gyruda not all bad. She's misunderstood.
They stirred the pot. And by pot, I mean a giant ocean.
Yeah, and the Kraken said, how?
Kraken said what?
How? This is a heck of an episode, guys. All right. So what are your thoughts about Gyruda?
I have a weird experience with Gyruda because I've only ever played it in Standard. It's not bad. It's a 6/6, and 1v1 is not nothing. So it's a 6/6 that gets you another body, basically, is how I remember it being. And I think maybe there was some broken stuff with it, but it was never, like, the best, if I remember right. I don't know.
It's expensive.
But, yeah, 6 mana is a lot, but a 6/6 that gets you another body, it wasn't terrible. I remember it, like, being a place, especially with it being companion as well. Totally would be something that I would find a home for.
Yeah. See, this tells you exactly how much I don't really know about 60 card formats, because I look at that and I'm like, oh, that's an expensive card. Nope. They don't play that.
No, not in like any of the ones that have access to a larger card pool, but in Standard, a 6 mana 6/6 is at least something. Maybe not today, actually. But back in Ikoria, it was.
Right. Power creep. Honorable mentions. I literally was looking through the list and I was like, man, I have already done 3 hybrid mana cards in this show.
Yep.
Between Wild Growth Archaic, Lutri, and Deathrite. All fantastic cards, all fantastic hybrid cards. Those would be my honorable mentions, but I've already talked about them. go watch the episodes. Again, especially Lutri, because Lutri's cute. Do you have anything?
Yeah. Kiora, Behemoth, Beckoner.
Yeah.
2, a green and a blue. It's a planeswalker, and it draws you a card just like Garruk's Uprising. If a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield. And then you can, I think, a -1 to untap a creature. Or is it just another permanent? I don't remember. And it's got 7 loyalty. So for 3 mana, it feels like it does a lot. And I've never played that card.
Yeah.
And Manamorphose is another one that I've never had a home for, but would love to play. It's 1 green, red. And it says, add 2 mana in any combination of colors, draw a card. So it's like a storm card, but you have to have green in your storm deck, which, like, get green out of there. I like to storm in other colors.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode, but before we let you all go, we like to talk about something that we have been hyper-fixated on lately, and today you have something for us?
Yes, so we're 31 episodes in, and I don't know how I haven't mentioned this before, so we're going to have some fun. You're welcome. I would like to talk about the existential dread that I feel on a regular basis.
Yay.
I mean, like, literally regular. Like, sometimes I bring it up to you and you're just like, stop talking about that. It freaks me out.
It does. So, I don't want to be filled with dread just because you are.
So let's just clearly define it just so we're all on the same page. I Googled it just to, because this says it better than I could articulate it. So, also known as existential anxiety or angst, is an intense, deeply unsettling feeling of unease that arises when contemplating the big questions of life, death, mortality, and your ultimate purpose. It is a natural, psychological, and philosophical response to realizing that the vastness of the universe, the inevitability of dying, and the complete freedom and burden you have to forge your own meaning in life. Yeah, there's a few things I'd like to note about it. Underneath the explanation of what existential dread was, it had some common coping mechanisms, and I'm like, hey, shut your mouth. My default one is apathy when I think about this, because it's just freaking terrifying. So I just kind of become apathetic when it hits me sometimes.
Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah. And I don't know when it started for you, but I was thinking about it. I'm like trying to remember. I mean, I started questioning like life and death and mortality, as maybe around like before 10, like around that time somewhere. Definitely not like 5 or anything, I don't think. I mean, every 5-year-old asks, but it's not existential dread for most 5-year-olds, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the same experience for you or not.
Once I had experienced a loss, both of my grandfather and my great-grandfather passed away the same year. So that was an extremely hard time, and that really hit me with that mortality thing especially. And ever since then, I can remember it being like a significant impact on how I live, to be honest. There are so many nights that I just, for no reason whatso freaking ever, absolutely nothing, my brain will just go, gonna die someday, when's that gonna be? And I can't just be like, nope, can't think about this, because I try. It just keeps rolling. And this will be like, oh, I've been sitting here and I'll like put myself into panic attacks, I'll cry, and I'll lay there for 3 hours before my body is finally tired enough that I literally just can't be awake anymore.
Okay, well, to be clear, it's not like I'm just like, I'm going to stop thinking about that and immediately stop thinking about it. It's like I have to keep myself busy is really what I do most of the time. If I'm able to physically move, it's easy to keep myself busy. But if it's like at nighttime, then I'll just, I don't know, do math or something.
The keeping busy thing during the day does work for me sometimes to an extent. I will like throw on a show that I've watched a billion times. And that works for more than just like the existential dread thing too. Anytime I'm feeling anxious or overwhelmed or like super sad or whatever, I usually do something like that.
Yeah, and then sometimes it just really freaks me out to think about how small we are in the grand scheme of things, like how much of the observable universe we can see and just how tiny we are. We're basically insignificant. I personally don't believe that as a species we're capable of knowing with certainty what other than the physical, what we can see exists. And sometimes that makes me just kind of feel negative about life as a whole and the outlook in it. And I just try to keep my actions appropriate for how I would want other people around me to experience. I don't know how else to put it.
I think I see where you're going. Because, yeah, I think that does feed into why getting old and dying freaks me out so much, is because I don't have a solid core belief of, oh, this is what's going to happen when we die. And there are people out there who do. And that's great. I can see like how that is comforting. And I wish that I had something like that sometimes. Like, I wish I could just be so confident, like, yes, I'm going to die and I'm going to go to heaven. Or I'm going to die and I'm going to be reborn and we get to do this. That doesn't make me feel better. I don't want to do this again. But I don't have that. Yeah. So, like, in my head, it's literally just you die, black screen, done. End. Everyone's gone. Everything's done. I don't know. It's not that I'm like, oh, I'm going to be sad, because in my head, I'm not going to feel anything. It's just the thought of, like, not having the things that I have anymore. Makes it sad. Oh, yeah. I don't have the whole, like, we're tiny little people on a tiny little planet in a giant universe thing. I can't. I can just tell my brain, no, we're not going to think anything about that. That is way too much.
I think it was like a couple months ago. I was like, do you realize that we've been adults longer than we can remember being kids? And you were like, shut up. Don't talk about that.
Stop reminding me that I'm getting old. It freaks me out.
Yeah. Me too. So anyway, we're smiling and laughing a lot, but yeah, it's all good here. As the great philosopher Watsky once said, it's like we're all running towards a giant brick wall and nobody wants to acknowledge it. However, he put it in better words. Yeah.
That's valid. All right. Well, I'm going to cry after we end this episode, but that is the end of our episode. Sorry if we brought you down. You can find Good Lord. That is the end of our episode. You can find us on TikTok at Dicentric Games if you want more Magic content or other nerdy shenanigans.
And if you'd like to share any of the quirks that Magic has hidden in their cards, join the Discord in the description. If you have questions or suggestions for the show, please leave a comment or send us an email.
We hope you learned something new about the cards we discussed today. If you have a favorite hybrid mana card, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your week.
Click all the buttons.
And do all the things.
And we will see you next time. Bye!